G'day, listeners. Welcome to Barkarati, the sailing podcast. My name is Jordan Spencer, and it's that time of the week where we get to hang out with some really cool sailors and my two idiot mates. So let's bring them in. First up, Mr. Brett Perry.
Greetings, exalted one.
BP.
2020 done and dusted, but I've had a wonderful week. Wonderful week.
Really?
Well, celebrations.
Oh, okay. I thought you went away camping in the caravan park or something.
No, that was all part of it. When I won the Australian teams racing Sydney to Hobart, it just hadn't stopped. The virtual celebrations have not stopped.
You idiot. You jump into the team at the very end of the race.
Well, they invited me. And it was true. There was a bit of a kickback, but I got in. Paid my $50.
Nice. All right.
No. Hey, listen, it's taken very seriously. I couldn't believe how seriously it was taken. And the lead 3,000 was pretty tight.
There you go. It's an amazing number, isn't it? To finish in the top 3,000 and be happy.
It's insane, yeah.
Let's bring in the other guy.
He had a voice that could make a wolverine purr.
Mr. Nick Bice, welcome.
Gentlemen.
Go on.
Happy New Year. It was celebrations last week for Christmas, this week for the New Year. I must admit, I'm a bit tired, a bit distraught after a big week of yachting in their Harkin SA Summer of Sail, which we'll talk about later.
We will.
Absolutely fantastic.
Oh, I had to almost bring the bloody wheelchair to get out to my office here.
I just see you've got a little bit of sunburnt lip there, mate. Have you
broken?
Are you a bit like the old days?
Yeah, no, it's she was a bit blusterous in the harsh old SA sun, but all good.
Yeah, good.
But no, been a cracker of a week, and like I said, Happy New Year to the two of you and to all of our listeners. Mm-hmm. And let's sincerely hope we've got a better year coming up.
Yeah.
Wow.
In more one. Well, at least getting out on the water for that matter.
Yep. Yeah, let's hope. Well, of course, we know the greatest blue water classic in the world will be going ahead, obviously. So that's good. That's good. So you guys can the Teagle Classic.
The Teagle Classic.
Already
of course, you're referring to.
Yep. Cool. We got a lot to talk
you're not
about.
BP. You're not allowed to come, mate.
Yeah, you're stuffed.
Take your bloody COVID.
No,
you can stay in New South Wales.
No, essential services. I can travel. Essential services.
Hey,
as a professional sailor, I'm providing a professional service. I've already got the loophole.
Jay, hit the blue button, mate.
Go on, you need it.
Go on, do it.
Well,
hey, Brett, I'm not sure what you did.
You on board. I'm not sure what you did, but...
All right.
Yeah, that doesn't class as essential.
Yeah. All right, boys.
Funny, though.
Yeah.
All right.
Shall we get the main part of the show on?
Yeah, well, they don't want to listen to us all
Yes.
night.
Yeah, that's
Let's
right.
do it.
Okay. Obviously, we've been focused on a lot of offshore stuff lately, but, my heart lies in the dinghy world, and we haven't touched the skiffs much. And the first person that popped into my mind to try and do the skiffs, we'll touch a bit on the 18s, but we'll wait till the JJs are a bit closer before we dive into that fleet. But one of the most biggest or the best international skiff fleets in the world is the 14 class. And it's been, one we've been around a lot, all of us. And we thought, well, why don't we chat to someone from that class? And then we thought, well, actually, probably let's talk to the best 14-foot skiff sailor of all time. So that's who we've got, Mr. Archie Massey. Welcome to the show, mate.
Thank you very much. Yeah.
That's a good intro, wasn't it?
Sorry?
That's a good intro.
Was that the one you wrote, Archie?
Took me hours to write that.
Yeah. So just for those who don't know, Archie, he's won 5 world champs in the 14s. First person to ever go back-to-back in the 14 world champs, and then not only went back-to-back, went back-to-back-to-back-to-back. So I think 4 in a row.
Kids.
Hey?
And then I had kids.
And then you had kids. And then now they're
family.
Now they're walking, and you're the current world champion.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. having kids was sort of a back burner to the 14s for quite a while.
Yeah,
But,
and let's just say that 2008 was with Matt Noble. The other 3 in a row were with Dan Wilson, who we know well, and then Harvey Hillary is now your current crew because you're back in the UK. All right. So, what makes you so good, mate?
It's a very good question.
That's why we ask it.
No, I don't know. It's not one I thought about. No, what have I thought about? I like to experiment. So, you go sail, something doesn't feel right. You try a bit more daggerboard, you try a bit more rig, you try this. Doesn't matter if you tried it before or, I haven't tried it. Just, I like to keep experimenting. I think I've got a good feel for when the boat's slow. And I always, I like the 14 because there's always a way of making it faster. And the same with all skiffs, really.
Is that, we're kind of jumping straight in here before we listen to how you made it into your stardom, but is that just pure feel, or you've got numbers, or you can just feel it?
I think I always think the boat can go faster than it can do, even when it's sort of 8 knots and drifting, or, I always think there's something to go faster. So there's always something, part of me that wants to try, tweak something. But then when it comes to the actual racing, I do home in on numbers. And then, you go around the mark and you just pull to those numbers. And then you tweak from there, but
Okay.
It's a lot of experimentation to come up with the numbers.
So there's 2 things coming out of what you're saying. First is it's about the process for you. 2, you're talking about boat speed. So you're not talking about tactics. So former Olympic sailor that we all know, Chris Tillett, said to me once, if you want to be a good tactician, when I was a little tacker, he said, you want to be a good tactician, you got to be fast. So that sounds like that's part of your little program there, Archie.
Yeah, I was going to say, when I was saying with Dan, which is particularly Sydney, where we're most dominant, we were sufficiently fast, we'd just cover everyone else and slowly pull away. Tactics weren't even on the equation.
What a luxury to have, eh?
Yeah. But, subsequent to that, I really like the light and shifty stuff. Well, not necessarily light, but really shifty. Because I think, I enjoy the sort of, I don't know, the chest field or whatever you want to call it of the race course, trying to work your way around that.
Okay. Well, Bossy alluded to, we'll get your early history out there so we can drill into that a bit. So started sailing at 5, according to the research I've done, in a Swallow. And then sailed mirrors, Fireflies, 420s and keel boats. Is that right?
He has to try and remember.
Yeah. Okay.
Pretty much, yeah.
He's not bad, is he?
I grew up sailing... sorry?
He's not bad, Al Jordan. He's got a bit of research abilities.
Yeah. No, I grew up sailing in Itchener. And there was me and a good mate called Douglas Patterson, who were fierce rivals all the way through, who pretty much stayed sailing out of club, doing club racing all our time, whereas some of our more illustrious friends, the Rob Greenhalghs of the world, were all doing 420 tours around the UK, dragged around by their parents. Whereas my dad very much sailed his Swallow keelboat down at Itchener, and so he was fully committed doing that, which meant that we had to just, do the club racing, which I think is a good thing.
Yeah. Why not?
And, yeah. Right now, I've just bought a Firefly again to sail with my 6-year-old daughter.
Nice.
Again, trying to, promote club sailing all the way through.
BP's going through that.
Did you go for the boat that you actually sailed, or you've gone for a full carbon pre-preg foam sandwich Firefly with foil?
It is a 1950. Yeah.
Really?
Yes. Good man.
Full retro.
Yeah. I don't think I'm responsible enough to own it, though, to be perfectly honest. It's currently outside. Yeah, hopefully not rotting. But
oh, well, the weather's good in England. It's very dry there, so nothing rots.
No, it should be fine.
Geez, can't be much worse than Sydney the last week and a half.
Paid the money and gone plastic.
Is your daughter enjoying it, mate?
She's only been out twice. She was 5 this year, so it's still kind of early days.
Yeah. But
Yeah.
is she showing in?
So a friend of mine, my crew, Harvey, he got, so out of Delphi Sailing Club, which is a local sailing club, there were no fireflies, and now there's 23 fireflies in a year.
Wow.
And all of them are parent and child. And the idea is basically all the kids want to sail with each other and play with each other. So we go down there. I mean, it's father and child, or father and child, whatever.
I can tell you, Archie, right now, just knowing my colleagues really well, Bicey's sitting there Googling fireflies right now. It's just
in my head, it's the heron of Australia.
Exactly. That's
And
exactly
I
what it is.
think I'm going to images, care of Google. Yep, basically, it's the heron of Australia.
That's right. Yeah, that's classic. Yeah. That's classic.
Yeah.
I mean,
juniors in America.
sorry?
They're flying juniors in America.
Flying juniors. Yeah, right.
So college team racing boat.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. What was the first sail like with the daughter? What was her reaction?
Wants to go in and play with her mates.
Fireflies are a bit tippy, to be honest. We sailed a laser Stratos first.
Okay.
And once you kind of distract them and sort of point out other things outside the boat, then they enjoy it.
Yeah. Fair enough.
Got to be
How was your competitive streak when the gun went?
We haven't had a gun yet, but I asked Harvey that.
Get that jib! What are you doing there? Look out!
Yeah. I asked Harvey that last weekend, and there's one big trophy at Del Key every year, and he was leading it with his daughter, and he was, he had to sort of bite his tongue quite a few times. And I think I'll be fine.
Well, there's been a couple of people on the show who have told their introduction to sailing was basically out there talking to dolphins and singing songs, so it's quite common.
Yeah, that's it. As long as they're out there.
That's right.
So how did you go from sailing, around in your local club with these sort of dinghy classes? What made you choose the 14? Did the 14 come to you or did you go to the 14?
The 14's sail out of Itchener. Itchener's always been my club.
Yep.
It's a bit like being a sort of, Perth Dinghy Centre or Perth Dinghy Club. It's the same thing. You see them on Swan River or in my case, Chichester Harbour, and they're always the boat you end up in. And I want to try other classes, and I want to go in, I want to, particularly the Musto skiffs, there's a lot of synergies with the 14. I want to try them, see how I do, compare myself against another fleet. But Itchener's on the doorstep. It's 5 minutes down the road. I like sailing two-person boats. So it's tough at the moment.
And I guess with the technical nature of the 14 appeals to your mind. I can tell that you're a thinker. Certainly conversations I've had with other people that know you really well say that as well. So the 14 appeals to that side of you, I guess?
Yes. Yeah. To go to the other extreme, I absolutely detest the laser. Two aspects about it. One, hiking, and the other one, the fact that you have to just pull the main
6 knots upwind.
Block at the back. Then,
as has been stated before, you work so hard to go nowhere.
Yeah.
So obviously the 14 is it's not a one design class in any way. So you can design boats. There's a lot of movement and experimentation. It's got to be 14 foot long, basically. There's a few rules, but so you would have been in the class probably at least 15 years. What's been the most important change? Is it more? 20?
Yeah, 2000.
2020, there you go. What's probably been the most, if you talk about 14s, talk to us about 14s, what you see when you look at a 14. What do you look for in a design for the hull? What's been the big changes? Where, has it been the rig? We've gone to the square top rigs, which is the sort of the carbon masts, the falls on the rudder.
There's been quite a few. I can go through them in sort of chronological order. So when I first got in the class, they added the T-foil. So 2 boats turned up in the beer worlds with T-foils. One ended up the world champion, and the other ended up... the other one was Paul Beaker himself. He ended up 6th, which was way ahead of his... I don't think it's rude, his sailing skill at the time. Maybe he wasn't 6th, but he was right up there. So there was 2 people. And it was a really light, fluky regatta, and no one really paid much attention to the fact that he had a T-foil. And it was only over about 3 years people started using them. And in the UK, I got a guy from the West Coast called Paul Vine. He started using it, dominating everything. And we still didn't really catch on, which was bizarre. And then suddenly over the next 3 years, everyone started having T-foils. We ended up gluing 2 windsurf foils onto the back of our rudder.
Okay.
And then proceeded to come 3rd in the Japan Worlds, which was my first good success.
Yeah. For those who don't know the 14s, before the T-foils, if you tried a 2-sail reach on a 14 without a T-foil, it's just a nightmare. You can't do it. So the T-foils have changed. Obviously, you try and drive the bow down as you go upwind to try and sort of falsely lengthen the waterline, and then you get a lot more control downwind by sort of keeping the bow up. Is that how you use them, or is it more technical than that?
Yeah, I think everyone's saying keeping the bow in is a bit of a misnomer insofar as you kind of want the boat level. You want to put as much weight over the rudder as possible, which kind of just elevates the whole boat. But you still want the bow skimming. Ultimately, it's a planing boat, and you're planing upwind.
I remember jumping onto a 14 once with Dave Alexander, and sailing a lot of 5.0. So you got a lot of front foot pressure in a 5.0, where you're always sort of trying to drive back because the mast is trying to pull you forward. Whereas on a 14, you're trying to stand as far back as possible going upwind. It's quite awkward. It was quite awkward for me, put it that way.
They've become easier because, when we first had T-foil, you've always stood right at the back of the boat. You're always, leaning on your front foot. But slowly the masts come further back and become more raked. So actually the top of the trapeze wire is above you now rather than way in front of you.
Yeah, you can control that.
So it's not as uncomfortable as it used to be. In fact, no, it's quite comfortable now. But it used to be quite bad, even 5 years ago. So the older boats still pull you forwards.
So who are your sort of favourite competitors in this class?
What does favourite mean?
Ones you like to battle with most.
Like or dislike, it's just...
Jordan, sorry, Archie, before we go there, though.
Yeah.
I think there's still a few more parts of the chronological order of the evolution of the 14, which I'm terribly interested in, as much as I am with the favourite. That's in brackets.
Inverted commas.
So we've gone the T4 when you jumped in.
So, Q3, where we got T4s. I think just before I arrived, we got racks from their hulls, which reduces the drag. But after that, I think the 2 things have happened in parallel, but the rigs have slowly got stiffer and stiffer and stiffer. Very similar to 18s. And as you go stiffer, a bendy rig, when it gets windy, fully bends, it takes all the luff curve out and you end up with this horrible S shape because you have a lot of luff curve and by the time you suck it all out. Whereas the stiffer rigs allow you to have a much more similar sail shape from light winds to windy weather. So they've got stiffer and stiffer and stiffer. I think now they've reached a sort of a maximum. So I don't think that's going any further. And we found the same in the 18s.
Hey, Archie, can I stop you there? Would have you said that 5 years ago? They've reached a limit, or America's Cup boat 6 years ago reached its limit? Is there going to be a limit?
How stiff you want to go?
I know exactly what you're saying. Yeah. How stiff can you go, but do they keep pushing it, or we're just getting closer to the top of the triangle?
Well, if you go too stiff, you don't get your gust response. You can't pull the cunning rod and flatten the sail. I think, and then and they're also heavier. But I don't think they need to go stiffer. I remember in the 18s, everyone went stiffer and stiffer and stiffer, and then 7 went too stiff one year, and suddenly were third or something at the JJ.
Yeah.
And then they went back the year after.
Yeah, never go too stiff. That's a lesson, kids. So
Shit, that's the most controversial thing you've said on this podcast.
I know,
ever, Jordan.
I know. I'm always the good one.
Margaritas.
I'm always the good one. So what was the thing that is in conjunction? So stiffness with the rig, and then
Stiffness, and then slowly they've taken the rocker out of the boats.
right.
So as you got the T-foil, that makes it easy to sail downhill.
Yeah.
You can start taking the rocker out.
Yep.
Which means plane earlier and plane more easily. You don't have to push so much water.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
So you ever sailed a 14?
Me?
Yeah.
Oh, nah, shit, no. I'd step straight off the back of the boat, mate. Wouldn't know how to tack. I can't stand up and sail.
I'll let you in on a little secret. So sorry to butt in there. My first ever dinghy sail was on a 14-foot skiff with one Snowdy.
wow.
One day.
Yep.
Snowdy.
I was windsurfing before I started getting into dinghies, and then Snowdy said to me one day, "Come for a sail," and I did. Yeah, on a wedge. Remember the old wedge boat? It was with the wings, and that was on a reach was hell. But anyway, there you go.
Yeah, right.
Back to it.
That's the same history as Dan Wilston.
Yes.
He was a big wave sailor, old wind sailor.
Yep.
Surfer.
Jordan's got a few stories about windsurfing as well, particularly this one wave that held him down. He told Robbie Nash about it.
Yeah. It was about 3 minutes, wasn't it?
Sorry, Archie. It was just it was a little internal joke, that one.
Sorry. Back to it.
Yeah. Okay. So, what about the designs? Because, like, if you're buying a boat at the moment, who are you going to for a design?
Beaker is. I'm going to say Beaker's dominated. Is that?
Well, they were
He hasn't quite won all the worlds.
They were the boats with the first racks, weren't they? That was the ones you were talking about earlier.
Yeah. So I don't know much about the Beaker 1, but the Beaker 2 he won in San Francisco back in '89. That was the first boat with racks. And then Beaker's always made saleable boats. So other people have tried to sort of, maximise the theoretical spoke speed of a boat, whereas Beaker's always said, oh, no, you still want smooth lines. You still want, if you lean it over, it doesn't want to skew up. It wants to have a sort of progressive, characteristics, such as the more you lean and more it turns.
Totally relate to that, yep.
Yeah. And 5 years ago, I bought a boat. So a friend of mine, Dan Holman, he designed a boat. He tank tested 5 different boats. One was exceedingly narrow, and the other one was effectively a Beaker 5. And then he had 4 boats somewhere in between the two, and he picked the middle one and made a mould and popped out a hull. And I got the third hull of that one.
Right.
And it was quick. And we almost won the Nationals here, except for a gear failure in the last race. But soon as it was super low rocket, it was dead flat. So as soon as there was any chop, you're either sinking the transom or the bow.
Yep.
And yeah, it was slow because of that. And also it didn't have enough volume for my fat ass. So as soon as I went out in light winds, it would be sinking both ends. Have you ever sailed a 12?
No, but I've seen them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Bloody hell.
Yeah.
They were just here. They were actually just
I
at.
can't sail those in light winds. I mean,
Yeah. They were just here the other day at the squadron, so they were coming in. Nuts. Crazy looking little boats.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, and too small, fundamentally.
Yeah. Yeah. Actually, just before...
So who else is in the design stable? So obviously
Dan,
Beaker, your mate, Dan.
Yeah, and then there's, what's the guy? Holland is the other guy. I don't know much about him. I've heard he's helped with America's Cup boats. I guess similar to Paul Beaker in that sense. So
Jason Beebe. Jason Beebe had a go for a while.
And I bought his old boat years ago.
Yeah. Yeah.
That was my first 14.
There you go.
But no, not many people.
Go on.
Yeah, so there's, what's the name? Holland. which is very similar to Holman. And he made a boat with a bit more V, which apparently gives more dynamic lift. So there's some good pictures of the winning boat in Geelong, which just seems sort of plane higher than all the other boats because of this V. But apparently it's a bit harder to sail as well.
So I'm intrigued. There's lots of questions we'll come back to, but just as sort of a quick aside, obviously we went in the Olympics, went to the 49er class, which is, sort of a smaller version of a 14 in some ways. Have you ever thought about going down that pathway at all, or?
Yes and no. I mean,
that's a good answer.
Yes, I've always thought of retrospect. Sorry, retrospectively, I've always sort of thought, what would have happened if I'd gone down a sailing career? And there's kind of two reasons why I didn't. One is sailing is a pastime, and you want to keep the enjoyment out of it. And I think all the very best sailors, the Burlings and the Outridges, they all love their sailing, and they've kept that enjoyment of the sport. So I think it's possible. But I guess if you're coming fifth at everything you do, then you can soon start beating yourself up quite badly, and sailing wouldn't be fun anymore. Whereas if you're winning, winners are grinners and the rest of it.
I'll take that one step further. So you've done a lot of 14s. Have you ever sailed a 49er? You would have had to have, right?
I worked at a sailing camp when I was 21. So no, not really. I want to. Okay. I want to go and do the 49er nationals or something. Because Harvey's got access to all of that, having been an ex-RWA coach.
Having done a little bit of 14 stuff, I actually had a 49er here in Sydney, and I preferred the 14 so much. There was so much more forgiving boats to sail. The 49ers because of the chines and the way they were, and back in the day with the aluminium rig, they were so heavy. If you didn't get around the corner with almost in the water at the top mark to get the thing away, the thing would just round up, and you'd end up on your back corner. Just little things like that. The 49ers were a handful compared to. I mean, I loved sailing the 14s because you could push them so hard.
Yeah. No, I do want to do nationals. As I said at the beginning, I do want to try other classes and see how I get on.
Right.
But then the other side of it, in my era, in terms of if you wanted to go down the Olympic route, the standards are so high with the Ian Percy's, Ben Ainsley's, Hugh Stiles. I mean, there was a huge list of people. So you could be fifth best in the world and still, not make the Olympic team. It was just
timing.
Outside of sailing then, Archie, what is your day job?
That's from 3 weeks ago, and I work for Microsoft, but I've worked for the same company for 20 years called MetaSwitch, and they got bought recently. So, and they've been good to work with because they took me to LA for the LA Worlds, and I lived in San Francisco for 2 years. Then I went to Sydney for the Sydney Worlds, there for 2 years.
Yeah, you've had a good life with your company you work for.
Almost professional. That's almost a professional sailing career. You just happen to be where the events were.
One thing, Archie, apart from, I'm not sure if there's any technology crossover here or anything, being in the tech stuff, but sailing, like Jordan and I have done quite a bit of time, like from a corporate point of view, talking the similarities to being on the water with your crew or against your competitors to the same in the business world. Did you experience that in the last 20 years as well?
So I manage a team now of about 40 people, and I've always wanted, but never quite got to it, do a sort of session on what it takes to win, in the sailing world and that, and try and sort of link that in with the corporate stuff. And my crew, Harvey, he does a lot of, I think motivational speaking is the wrong word, but teamwork type stuff with, he's been in Lloyd's and various other companies to try and talk through what sports psychology can do for your business and the rest of it. So we often have lots of conversations around that. And I find it intriguing how you get sort of some of the 49er stars who haven't done it for 3 years. They rock up at Worlds and then they get a silver or gold medal. whereas the guys who have been training for 4 years don't do so well. So that, what is it about that relaxed state you get from just rocking up to an event that allows these people to do well, and how can you sort of recreate that? So I find the whole sports psychology intriguing.
It's one of the great things about our sport is that it translates beautifully into the corporate world. So, and if you tell it with a good story and you have good images and a good wow factor, people sit down and listen. So that's what Bice is. I mean, we did lots of it. We got to travel quite a bit around the world talking to lots of major companies doing that sort of stuff. So you should give it a go. I think, clearly you're good at your job because they've kept you forever, and you've got a big team under you now, and then you're a pretty good sailor given your results. So what else are you good at?
Apparently I'm a good dad, but...
Oh, nice.
Well, obviously you're going sailing now with them, so...
Yeah, I love it.
Good answer. Yes.
Yeah. Hey, I've got a question for you, Archie. How'd you end up with Dan?
Oh, yeah. Good one.
Because we all know Dan. We all know Dan before that. So
that's a bit of politicking.
there you go.
I had when I arrived in Sydney, the first 18 campaign I did with an old university mate called Matt Searle, and Dan Wilston was a bowman on that boat.
Okay, there you go.
And that was say that 18 regatta was one of my regrets because we were second by a point.
Yeah.
That was in the JJs.
That was in the JJ, yeah.
Yeah, so
anyway,
second.
So tell us about the regret.
In an unsponsored boat, weren't you? Like you came second, just jumping together in an unsponsored boat at the 18-foot Skiff World Champs, effectively. Is that right?
Yeah. But that was also the newest boat I ever had in the 18s. That was a 3-year-old boat.
Okay.
So 6 or 7-year-old boat.
It's not unusual. I mean, the rules of thumb is just keep the boat upright usually and you'll do okay. Back then.
Yeah. I'd say that still applies because, I've come fourth a lot of times and I've always capsized in the windy races. So, and all of those I would, if I kept the boat upright, I would have been top 3 again. But, that's one of my life regrets.
Extend BP's question though, like how you got to meet
how
Dan.
do I meet Dan?
Yeah, you meet Dan, but you're also the personality. I mean, you two are quite opposite.
Me and Dan?
Yeah.
Okay, well, I'll finish Dan first. So, and then the subsequent season, I asked Dan whether he wanted to sail with me the following year.
What led you to ask him? I mean, did you obviously gelled on the boat? Did you have a feeling that you were gonna gel on a 14, or just got on well?
Dan has always been very relaxed, very dedicated.
We know that.
I mean, in the 14s, he was always the one that would replace the ropes and just general, make the boat regatta ready. Whereas I'm much more. If it's functional, it's fine. I mean, I'll take care of my files and everything else that makes a speed difference, but I won't necessarily, check all the ropes and do the sort of the rigorous side of things.
Fair enough.
And then when it's windy, Dan's just very, very solid.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'd say historically he was a windy expert and I was a light weather expert. But.
Okay.
Right. So created a good fit.
Well, for those, we're talking about, so Dan Wilston is the guy we're talking about. He lives in Sydney now. He's an architect. He's had quite a successful architecture firm on his own right. He's been quite successful as a sailor, and he grew up in the Brighton Seacliff Yacht Club, which is a South Australian yacht club. So used to racing in the oceans and had a lot of success sailing in 5.0s and Sharpies and other classes, and then jumped over to Sydney for work. 18s and then 14s. And, so not to discount Matt Noble or Harvey Hillary, who are your other crews that you sail with. So just while we're picking on Dan, there's a relationship there for us all. So I guess that's it. And we know he's good. And he says that you're, to me, so Dan and I have shared a lot of skippers over the time.
Okay.
And he says that you're probably one of the best... Natural.
Anything else? You want to talk about?
I know.
Like gin and tonics or...
Yeah. But he reckons
beers,
you're one of the best natural skippers he sailed with.
There you go.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I do want to know why Dan hasn't quite gelled with Dave at the moment, but I suspect it's time on water and the fact they're two different states.
Yeah. Yeah.
Is he sailing with Dave Alexander, is he?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, they shared a boat together.
Yeah, right.
I think they're still in it together.
Plus, Dan's got kids.
I saw Dan at the CYC. Would have been last year, so I might have to try. I've got his card in my wallet. I'll give him a call and I'll let you know, Archie.
All right, let's jump on to the competitors that you've had the most interesting relationship with, where it's best fun,
yes.
or who you like racing against most, or who you want to beat the most.
Despise the most.
The people I like competing against the most are you get against the occasional pro, be it Rob Greenhalgh, was a regular he's regularly come into 14s, although not recently. He's gone into moths more recently.
By the way, Arch, we call him Test Rig. Yep. He's one of our test rigs as part of Bar Karate, because pretty much anything that he steps on or sails with or whom, he breaks something.
As you do in a test rig.
There's so many rumours about when he was sailing, was it Puma, way back when, in the Volvo Ocean race, and then the boat laid over a number of times, and whether Rob was steering or not at the time. But I don't know that.
They would have been just testing.
You don't have to be so polite, mate.
Yeah, don't be nice to
they would.
I honestly don't know the story, but I want to know. I need to.
Well,
it was all for data.
We've been saving Rob for bringing him onto the show. We've been saving him in for one of our specials. So we'll get him on. So you can set him up as much as you want, and then we'll get him on and answer the questions for you.
Yeah, we'll say. Archie wants to know.
So Rob was a former world champion in the 14s. He's also a world champion in the 18s. I'm not sure if he's won the Moths. Has he won the Moths?
No, he hasn't won Moths.
And then now, obviously, the Volvo, and won the Hobart last year. And, so pretty accomplished all-round sailor and renowned for breaking things. What? Oh.
Well, yeah. And as Moths, he's more experimental anyway. He's the first one with sort of titanium screws and, every bit of luck.
Yeah.
Saving like it. Who else? There was all the old Aussies. I shouldn't use the word old, but
no, you can.
Brad
It's real.
Devine.
Who was that?
Brad Devine.
Yep.
And Lindsay Owen and all. I mean, yeah, Lindsay's the next world champion too, but I guess, how do I put this politely? They're all getting a little older now and not quite in their as competitive they were
in their prime.
In their prime, that's the one. I think Brad's still got it, particularly in Perth, and I think one of the world's races he won by a good 5 minutes or so.
Yeah.
Well, they're a demanding boat. You got to admit it. There's nothing easy about a 14-foot skiff.
Yeah. As a helm, though, you can get away with being relatively old because all you're doing is holding the tip of a tiller.
Fair enough.
Like Howie Hamlin won, I can't remember how old he was, 56 or so.
Yeah, Howie's a different cat.
Andy Partington was similar, 58.
Yeah, Howie's a different cat, though. I mean, he lives a pretty luxurious California lifestyle. He's super fit. He's sails non-stop 100% of the time. He won in 2006 with Ewan McNichol, who's a famous 18-foot skiff sailor from Sydney. And they had that whole program with Mike Martin, who you would have raced against, obviously. They had a group of them training quite hard, and that I think. And since 2006, it's been the Poms that have dominated the 14s.
Yeah, so 2006 was the first year that we took George I, which was the boat I had with Dan, to the Worlds. And we won the first race by 2
George the First.
Hey, Arch, I'm going to jump in, mate, because I've got it on my little notes here. These blokes don't think I take notes or do any sort of research. But the 14s notoriously have some pretty good names, right?
Yes.
And I was going to ask you, what's your name of your boat? And don't tell me, please. So in 2005, you had George the First. What are you up to now? George the Seventh?
Subsequent. So sticking with George the First. Is it George and the Dragon? I think it is. Anyway, we were sticking with the dragon theme. So the next one was called Puff, from Puff the Magic Dragon. And then since having the kids, the current one's called Zog.
Okay.
You know Zog?
Not bad.
Yeah.
Not bad. All right. Play with that. But the 14s notoriously have some pretty
Preachy.
put names that are a little bit risque, we would say.
We were Crown worldwide movers from memory.
Oh, and, great name, BP.
No, but I think
Worldwide movers.
It got changed to clown girl guide something or other. It was like no.
No. Have you got a favourite name that you've seen, actually, while we're on that little side diversion?
Trying to think of the names then.
I'm intrigued with...
All UK ones aren't that extreme.
Okay. I'm intrigued with George the First. Did you forecast the royal baby? Are you mates with the royal family?
No, it was just my crew at the time, George Nerton. It was his... He took
my gut feeling
and then changed it. And so we named the design George first, and then it sort of stuck with it.
Right.
Nothing.
Love it.
All right, so you were talking about Ian Walker. Go on.
I don't think I was.
One of your favourite competitors.
No, I've never sailed against Ian Walker, although I sailed with him once in a Laser 5000 when I was 15. And we were sort of racing to be first out on the trapeze wire. And eventually he was beating me every time because he was a 14 world champion at the time and I was a 15-year-old. Average wire trapeze before. And then anyway, in 8 knots of wind, he flew out on the wire and then dunked into windward.
There you go.
He'll probably not remember
Inspiring, nonetheless.
Yeah.
Nonetheless.
Well, couldn't you just ring him up and get a spot in the team these days, in the Pommy team?
No.
Okay. Right.
It involves quitting jobs and all sorts of risks.
All right, so what about this? I know we've focused on the 14s. You've got 18s as well, but let's just talk about sailing in general. And clearly you're quite clever in getting your workplace to move you to wherever you need to go and do some sailing. So where's your favourite place to go sailing? Have you got your favourite location or an event that's been the best?
Good question.
I like shifty venues. The racing I hate most is bang a corner, one tack, round top mark, one jibe.
Yep.
It's purely a drag race.
So San Francisco and Garda are off the list? When I say San Francisco, I mean up near the bridge.
Garda, you've got the cliff, so you do have to tack off one. So you've always got to do more than one tack.
I'm betting Sydney's a pretty fond memories.
Yeah, Sydney was. I don't know. I never quite nailed Sydney. I don't know why.
Well,
I don't think we ever had the boat speed to really, realise our tactical games or whatever. But
how about the Solent, Arch? How do you like the Solent?
The river was great because whilst it was windy, it was really shifty too, with big changes. Down in Falmouth's great because southwesterly wind goes straight over the cliffs there, and you end up with some big puffs in different directions. Trying to think where else has been good. Wakayama Bay was amazing, which was in Japan.
Yeah. Is it do you, being from the UK, does the cold water bother you?
I can say, having swum yesterday, it can't. But no, it's colder sailing somehow, particularly as a helm, because you don't do too much exercise.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. Like, say, for example, if you go to San Francisco, right, which you've done, correct? Spent some time sailing in San Francisco. Like, I mean, who the hell would sail in San Francisco? Like, it's got all the wind. It's lovely. But, Jesus, how cold is that water?
You just wear the right equipment and you're fine.
Yeah. So they don't sell that equipment in Australia?
There's an import ban on stuff like that.
Yes, 7.6 wetsuits. They're hard to move in.
Yeah, you just got to go. Yeah, you got to go with surfing wetsuits, not sailing wetsuits.
Yeah, it's probably not a bad call.
Feel like a Michelin man when you're trying to cross sides.
You know, in the 14s, the team champ thing. Did you guys take that seriously or not?
I would say I took it seriously for the first 12 years.
Not long then.
No, and then more recently, I don't know. Yeah, taking it less seriously. But I competed with Australians partly to make it more competitive when I was in Australia.
Okay.
Because the Brits have got a solid team racing background, and we also have quite good strength and depth. So the Brits always have a very strong team racing team. Therefore,
right. Okay.
If it's seriously windy, then the Aussies come back into it. But any sort of medium or light, and then the Brits run away with it.
All right. So, what about other boats? Like, what have you been sailing? Well, I know
recently, not a lot.
Can we talk about something Bosch and I have talked about with each other over a beer? BP, you weren't there. We're overseas together at this stage. We've the Archipelago raid in in Sweden. That's something that interests us. Running at full speed in an F18 onto some shallow rock in the middle of the night. That's got a lot of appeal for some reason.
No, I'd wanted to do that for years and years and years, and then they didn't host it for a number of years. So then it came back on the cards, and it was a non-world year. Yeah, found some time. So I signed up to that. I want to do that again desperately. I want to do more adventure racing. I'm kind of not bored of fleet racing, but it's semi one-dimensional. Whereas there's various long distance challenges. If they did the Worrell again,
they are. It's on.
Sure. Yep.
It's on as soon as the US can. I would assume they're going to have to wait.
2025, I believe.
Yeah.
It'll start again.
No, it was due to go this year, I think.
It was due this year. And we had a bit of correspondence with one of the organisers.
That's right.
But, who knows now what the situation is.
They'll probably still go ahead being the US, but, I wouldn't be rushing to fly into the United States right now. You'll never... Well, I suppose you're suffering just as bad in the UK at the moment, aren't you?
Yeah. We're in a tier 4 lockdown, which basically means, stay with your family only. And exercise with one other person. So technically we're allowed to sail, but nothing organised.
Wow. It's crazy times, isn't it? It is crazy times. All right. So who's the best sailor that you sail against? In your mind? Like, if you look at the fleet of sailors in the world, who do you go, wow?
Lots of good sailors. They've all got different characteristics. There's Roger Gilbert. Have you heard of him?
No.
So Roger Gilbert. So there's two really good amateur sailors in the UK. There's Nick Craig, who does a lot of stuff in the OKs.
Oh, yeah.
And then Roger Gilbert. And we've got the RS class over here. And between the two of them, they've won, 10 nationals in the RS400 and RS200s. Anyway, Roger Gilbert did the 14s for 6 or 8 years. He won a lot of POWs, but he always came second in the worlds. So he's a very talented sailor. And then there's obviously all the Olympians that jump in, from Stevie Morrison to Simon Hiscox to, I'm trying to think who else has done it over the years. But they always come in with a month's practice and training compared with, 16 years experience or whatever it is that I have. So I don't think who else has been in. No, those are the main ones. And then more recently, Glenn Trustwell, he won 2 worlds, the previous one and the previous one before that. So Geelong and Karnak.
Yeah,
well, that's pretty handy.
Yeah, he's just dedicated, puts more hours than you can fit in a day, particularly for a working person.
But
just before
dedication at the time.
Before Bicey mentioned that, we were talking about how far can it go with 14s. Obviously, with all classes, there is a triangle or a point where you reach where we just don't know if it can go any further. Do you think that will bring the sailing capabilities back closer? Because as in all development classes, it's people that have got a little bit of edge with the development that seem to, pop out in front. And obviously, someone like yourself who's got a feel for development, is able to keep himself at the front of the fleet. Is that a possibility with the 14s in the coming years, that it'll get to a point where it just doesn't go any further and some sailing ability comes back into it?
Well, currently, the boat I've got is a Beaker 6 made out of Ovington boats. They've produced 10 of them now. They're as production as you can get.
Yep.
I've made, other than, putting some markings on it, I've made no changes. I think in that sense, 14s are pretty tight formed. So I did go for this Dan Holman boat with no rocker and a V hull. And as I said, it was fast and straight line, but tougher to sail. So yeah.
Well, the point is that it's now at a point where the percentage improvements are in the 0.1, 0.2%, and so now everyone at the top of the fleet is sailing against each other in more of a sailor's ability format rather than he's got this and he's got that, and that's why he's faster in these conditions, and etc.
Yeah, I think so. And the nice thing about skiffs is, where a keel boat you can go 0.1% quicker, and a skiff, same boats, same everything else, you can go 5% quicker. You can even go 10% quicker when it's windy.
Yeah.
Just by setting it up right.
Yep.
I'm going to say that's why I've got hope for Ineos still, but they can make a radical change just by pulling a string.
Oh, now you've
speaking of keel boats, though, before we maybe throw to Ineos, do you have any desires? Have you done much keel boating? What's your feeling there?
I've done well. I grew up doing sailing with my dad in the Swallow. Did various cows weeks over the years in keel boats, and I've sailed the SB3s and sort of came second in. We have a big Hamble Winter Series there, and I came second in that with 60 boats. So I've got experience, but never done any of the major championships. We thought about doing SB3.
How about a keel boat, mate? Like more than 40 foot long.
More than 40 foot? That's a yacht.
Oh.
All right. What? A yacht.
A yacht.
Or at the Mirabella. You sailed on Mirabella.
Years ago, but I can say I'm mixing the wrong crowds at the moment. I don't know any owners, and I'm not about to own myself by a long shot.
But surely you've been tapped on the shoulder, Arch, let's go for a sail. Just come down the back, just give us some of your tactical expertise. Or is this the reach out? Do you, do you have the desire to get out on a keel boat? Or a yacht, sorry.
I think it's a time thing these days. I have precious few weekends. And I realised quite a few years ago I'd rather do a regatta prepared, which means putting the hours in, than rock up.
Yeah.
Come mid-fleet and go, that was a weekend I could have,
I could see that happening with someone of your sort of level of interest in making things right. And, that would be frustrating.
I mean, you can do a cork week or something with a bunch of mates, and that's a different kettle of fish. But going with someone, I can say random, I'd want to have done the homework, done a few practice sails. So when you come off the start line,
speaking of homework, and speaking of homework, and I can see Jordan's about to ask this question. You've obviously watched all the cup races prior to Christmas. How are your boys in the mighty Rita? What do you think? What's your gut feel? Do you know a few of the lads? Have you got any feedback?
Have you rang them up and said, guys, do this?
No, I don't. I obviously, as we all do, we all know the names, and I suspect a few of them know my name back. But no, I don't know them personally. I've asked friends of mine who do know them personally, and they all keep a very tight ship, which frustrates me slightly because it's obviously they're slow. So why not be open about what's slow about your boat? But I don't know. Based on the previous cup experience where we were slow to start with and remained slow, I'm not massively hopeful. Unfortunately. Well, whilst there's those...
Have you got any theories? Have you got any theories on what you've seen, or it's just, well, certainly from my side, it's just way too extreme to even theorise what is fast and what is slow.
Yeah.
But as for yourself, you got anything there? You got anything running through the Microsoft cloud that we can talk about?
There's that in theory that they've got their angle of attack wrong. And some footage in a moth, when you pop out attack and get going, you shift your weight off to get the angle of attack up until you're level and you go forwards again. It does seem that when it's trying to rise, the rudder goes up first, which is never going to help the main foils.
Good observation.
It does seem to make sense that, their main foils aren't given the right angle of attack.
Interesting. That's an Aussie flying that, isn't it? Doing that part on the boat? Because there was an opportunity for you there. You could have just said there's too many Aussies on the boat. Yeah.
Again, they all go for pedigree.
514 World Championships is not enough.
How big muscles you have to have these days?
Yeah.
You can make the bar.
A really interesting observation.
Yeah, I agree.
Well, it starts in 10 days or something. They're on the water now. They're out there testing. But, I find it intriguing. I mean, we do. The three of us find it intriguing. And having someone like yourself bring that up, it's an interesting point.
Yeah, no, it'll be intriguing if they do get a game.
Let's hope they do. The event's better for everyone being on the money. Much as we love taking the piss out of you guys, it's all in jest, So we'd much rather see the boys going super well and everyone fighting to. I want 1 second margins is what I want.
Oh, absolutely.
Now.
I want coming into the zone.
100 knot closing speed.
Yeah.
That'd be awesome.
Boy room. Don't go in there.
It would be funny because they do converge at such speed, and I don't know how they communicate between the boats. I actually don't know that, whether they actually can hear each other, but I doubt that. I doubt that they'd be able to yell out to the other boat. But wouldn't it be funny if somebody pulls up a bullhorn because they're closing, and just says, "Don't go in there."
That'd be our way of doing it.
Yeah. One of us has gone the wrong way.
I saw your mother naked.
Poor Archie doesn't know any of those jokes. Sorry, mate. That was bad. Hey, if one question, we're sort of running out of time here. One question I do want to get on record for you, a proper serious one, is from a youth perspective, getting kids into the class and sailing 14, sailing 18, sailing skiffs. How would you recommend it? I mean, is it a good class? Is it super expensive? What would you say if you're a young person trying to get in?
When you say young, we're talking post-university. I would say that maintaining them isn't worthwhile until you're post-university and earning. But in that sense, you can pick up an amazing bang for buck for 1,500 quid, and you can be foiling around Twin Warring. Well, not foiling, sorry, but sailing around Twin Warring. You can get competitive for about $6,000, and then you can buy the Ovi that I've got for 25, which is same price as Merlin Rocket, same price as 5.0, same price as a 49er. And there's so many opportunities for crewing because, as I said, there's a lot of 14 helms that are in need of a younger crew.
Okay.
So it's very easy to get crewing.
What's the number one thing you should do as you come into the class? What's the most important thing to get right?
Go sailing, stay upright.
Stay upright, go sailing.
Yeah, pretty much. Learn how to tack and jibe.
Yeah.
Learn how to go out a big breeze. Because kind of, sailing the boat well means you break less as well. Just fundamental. So.
How many clubs sort of support the 14s over there?
Ooh, not enough.
Yeah, well, yeah, same.
Itchler's the big one. Haling's got a few, and then there's a few near Robbington up north, Newcastle, and then a few in the southwest.
Right,
yeah,
so that's where you got to go. Boys and girls of the UK, that's where you got to go.
And next plans, Arch, when they let the whole COVID thing just disappears, like a flash. And then what's the next plan currently?
So they've already postponed the Germany Worlds, which was in August, for a whole year, which is a shame.
Right. So reality is, the next Worlds will be Germany, whatever year everyone sorts their shit out.
I think we'll all be vaccinated by then. But yeah. And then Garda after that.
Where are they in Germany, actually?
I want to get them in while I still can.
Yeah. Where in Germany are they?
Flensburg, which is the border between Denmark and Germany.
So right up.
It's a good shifty venue.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, good shifty.
Everyone else is like, oh, it's horrible, it's shifty, and I'm
You're just seeing dollar signs.
Get on. Sorry?
So
you're just seeing dollar signs.
Yeah.
Based on stage 4 restrictions, you're under now. Your desire to get out sailing is there, or you can't be stuffed? It can't be all that desirable in winter, I wouldn't believe.
No, there's not much competition going on. I think I'd say the boat's well set up. So, and I've just finished building a new house, and there's still tons of stuff. So, no, I'm motivated for next Easter. So
hammer in hand.
Yeah.
Here.
Pretty much.
What about, last question from me, what about 18s? Would you say someone says come over and do the JJs? I'm not sure you'd be allowed to come, but anyway, would you go back in the 18s at any time?
Absolutely. No, I've got, unfinished business there.
Okay.
Yeah. The issue is you can't, to win the 18s, you can't, they are inherently harder than a 14 insofar as in a 14 there's two of you and one rig, whereas an 18, the dynamic with 3 people just changes things. I don't know why, but it takes a few years of boat handling practice. And then having 2 rigs is more than twice as hard for whatever reason. Just get right and get everything
getting the crossovers right.
It's hard enough setting up one rig, let alone bloody 2.
It's time consuming, and you don't get the wind conditions for the rig that you need to work on, and there seems to be sort of people don't like to practice in the 18, so you sort of build up the experience over years. You don't.
And they're only out on the Sundays.
They're not just down the sailing club. So,
well, you look at the people sailing them. The majority of them have been there since the inception. The Michael Coxons and the winning senior, and far out.
Yeah, we got some vague plans of getting Andy Partington, who's 14 fame, and my current crew Harvey out, in a league boat and just turn up and enjoy it. And then similarly, there'll be a youth UK boat doing the same program.
Okay, good to know.
It's a pipe dream at the moment, but hopefully it will come true.
Maybe on that Arch, maybe not let the youth team in before the 18 Christmas party. But were you your time in Sydney? Were you here at the time when the infamous 18-foot skiff Christmas party took place?
I don't know about
You
Christmas
do
party.
not have to answer that.
No, I don't know about that.
Please elaborate.
Well, it just so happened I was when I was in Sydney a few weeks ago prior to the Hobart race, everyone's phones were dinging and going off, and it was the 18-foot Skiff's Christmas party was going at the time. Sounded and looked like a good time, but I can only it's just a rumour.
All right.
Archie, good answer, by the way.
All right. Cool. We might leave you a piece, Arch. Hopefully you haven't hasn't been too difficult for you, but thanks for taking the time to chat to us, mate. Good to hang out again.
No worries. Well, thank you very much.
Cool.
Good on
Thanks,
you,
Arch.
mate.
Awesome, mate.
Well, lads, interesting dude, old Arch. He's, quite serious, but also sort of really got it worked out, having a good time, I think. He knows he loves his sailing and he just wants to do what he loves.
I tried, I should have drilled down a bit more what his role was within Microsoft and now the new company. The previous company and now Microsoft. And whether it's data analytics, and he just had every single number for every single 14 in the world. And he knew in his mind the analytics, and he just knew how to make that boat go fast.
He comes across as that kind of guy, doesn't he?
Yeah.
Well, he does, but in saying that, I reckon that's not the case. He just jumps on a boat and makes it go fast.
Has got the natural ability to, and there is, we know plenty of people like that. He sounds like he's got a 14 up and running, and that's kind of what I asked him about. Do you think it's the boats are going to come closer and closer to a point where they're so similar? And he sort of still says that there's going to be the good sailor's always going to be there, but there's going to be an opportunity to gain gains. Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Very cool. Very cool. Well, hopefully you enjoyed that one. Let's move on now. Do we have any secret pro news? I guess there's no pros doing anything at the moment. So,
well, yeah, I guess really only the fact that COVID's stolen our Etchell Nationals.
Etchell's gone. Well, yep. Okay, fair enough.
What else has gone?
VX1s have just been postponed. So we talked about them last week. They've been postponed. They were the Australia Day weekend.
Not that it's really secret pro, but I mean,
Yeah, I think there's a big regatta down on the Gold Coast started today. So Southport Yacht Club got one going on, but there's in the rest of the world there's the America's Cup. I did see. Did you see? I must mention I wasn't going to, but I will. Did you see? There's a little bit of a blow up going on the America's Cup Facebook page. An American lass sort of wrote a note saying, I've got flights and accommodation booked for March. Do you think I'll be able to get across? They'll let us in by then.
Sorry.
Only if you leave.
I must say, mate, before we respond on this, so I'm not sure why, but because I'm on the same page, you answered, Richard Thorpe answered, obviously. There's some sort of algorithm that thinks I need to know about it. Check out Jordan Spencer's comment.
Well, come on, tell the world. What was your comment? Because I didn't get it.
No. Like, because you remember we were talking a few episodes ago how I think Tony Mutter was saying they had to book their slots back into New Zealand, remember, to head back home.
Yeah.
And they were filling up fast. Well, those slots back in New Zealand where you've got to go in and into quarantine, because you can't just fly in there. There's same here as in Australia. You can't just fly into Australia. You've got to go into quarantine. Those slots are all booked up, and they're booked up into April in New Zealand as far as I understand it, and they are only available to New Zealanders. So I technically could get in because my wife's a Kiwi, so I could go as a partner under her, but that I'd have to go with her. But yeah, if you're in the US,
and Bicey and I could go as your kids.
yeah, that's it. I'm just going to say for those who are outside,
essential services.
yeah. For those who are outside New Zealand who are wanting to get to the America's Cup and got bookings, you're not getting in the country. It's just not going to happen. So it's just not going to happen.
Nah.
It's not going to happen.
We thought we might be lucky from Moz.
Yeah.
We did.
We thought.
Given the latest
Breakout.
cluster, whatever you want to call
I think we should start calling him that, I can tell you.
Not a chance from Moz, so there's not a chance from the rest of the world.
Yeah.
At all.
No.
And the cluster we've got in Oz is a perfect example of why it won't happen, because it was an overseas airline crew.
Correct.
Came in and the bus driver that was driving to their quarantine hotel got it. And then now that's spread through a bit of New South Wales and a little bit of Victoria, and everyone else has shut them down. So, yeah.
Yeah,
So,
well, yes.
anyway.
Last night it was official. We're in full face masks as well.
Yeah.
Everywhere. It's the first time, even from the
So
start of the
from
pandemic.
day one.
Yeah.
Oh, you should have been.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool. All right, let's move on. Let's move on, because we're probably having... Bicey, you mentioned you did the first of the Summer of Sail events. So you've gone and got on you got the sharp stick and you're steering a Sharpie. And so, how'd you go? We're just interested, you're all right.
From a personal point, I was pretty stacked up with the couple of pros on board, with Matt Hansen and Pato, of course, brother-in-law, and up front. Matt being a national champion a couple of years ago. Pato,
correct,
a very competent Finn sailor back in his day. Hadn't sailed up front for at least 10 years, not to mention the 10 years prior to that. Myself not sailing a Sharpie for a good 22 years. But, mate, I got to tell you, holy shit, that was a fun regatta.
Oh, good. That's good.
It was
how did you
credit. Oh, we ended up 6th overall. We had a shocker on the last day. We had a U flat.
Still in that fleet, looking at
still
some good names.
Close to a 4th.
Yeah.
Had a U flag, which kind of fucked the whole show up. But whatever. We got out of it credibly. Sailed well in the windy stuff. Probably a bit inconsistent. We're pretty happy with tactically. I think. Fell out of phase in the last race, but probably over-analysed it a bit too much.
Oh, you were looking for Jesus,
anyway,
were
you? But to Harry Fisher and the SA Summer of Sail team, what a concept, what an idea, what a regatta. I mean, you've got the five-O's, fireballs, Sharpies, tasers, windsurfers. What else do we have?
Contenders, yes, and just people out there, all there to perform, have a good time. 2 races in the Seabreeze, awesome. It was quite a bit of a turn of events in the sense that you're not rolling up down the club at 8 a.m. to get everything ready. You roll down there. You know the Seabreeze is coming in. You go racing at 1:30.
And then it was just perfect. And hosted by a fantastic club at Brighton, which you know well, Jordan.
Mm-hmm.
And your counterpart back in the day, Sandy Higgins, took out the fight. We had Luke Stevens jumping from the Sharpies into the Fireballs, giving his Worlds campaign a bit of a nudge. He won the Fireballs with a race to spare.
Oh, there you
go. Last ones to get changed, by the way, as we were rolling up, pulling the boats up. They're still sitting there sipping a few beers, having not sailed the last race, and going down with your theory there, Jordan.
Yep.
Fantastic.
Yep.
Now Higgins sailed fantastically, only winning every race apart from a second.
In the
race
Sharpies.
number 2. In the Sharpies.
Mm-hmm.
He took that out. In the Tasers, Ugawawa, Stu Templeton.
Oh, Stewie.
Fantastic win. Yep. And then Timmy Lelliott battled it out with Quinn Orchit to literally to the bone. And these two
On the
just
windsurfers.
raced it out. So what I would say is a windsurfer, Timmy, who's been in this for quite some time, Quinn, who's just really ripping it up, coming up through the ranks. They battled out the top of the windsurfers, and Timmy just got there in the end. So awesome regatta, and the second leg of the regatta began today, which is Sunday, at Adelaide Sailing Club.
Very cool. Cool. Excellent. All right, so things are happening in a few places. There is stuff happening on the Vendée. Have you guys been paying attention?
Yep.
Enough to know that they've gone around Cape Horn. Well, one has.
One has, yeah.
And
Yannick.
is the man in yellow cutting the corner. Has it happened yet?
Oh, okay. All right. Well, we'll have a look. So yeah, let's just tell it. So Yannick Besteven has just gone around the Cape there and made all his gains. Do you guys remember? He sort of crept along the ice. He went
along the ice gates. Yeah,
he went as hard as anyone. He went the hardest, Sydney. That's where he made his gains.
I had a good look at that. He stayed pretty well in the firing line of that whole system and just tried to keep himself in the strongest part. And I guess there's a fine line between making a decision to sort of, put yourself in a safer spot, but he did actually put himself in a pretty make or break position and got himself, that 100 miles, which was the buffer that he needed really just to stay in front of it.
And the newer boats aren't getting up and boogieing because they haven't had the weather, have they? They have to also now they're slowing. They're having to slow down. They're having to keep the boats, at a not a comfortable pace, but at a pace that they're not going to blow themselves apart. If you look at that,
I look at the timings. This time 4 years ago, the first boat was around in 47 days.
Yeah.
Yannick's around in 55 days.
Yeah.
So that, to me, says there's a big weather difference. And as we spoke about during the last episode, the ice skates are so far north. And when you put the overlay of the wind, and, my mistake, but I didn't really pay too much attention to the ice skates and the wind in the last edition. But if they can go a bit further south, they're in that wind.
Yeah.
They're smoking.
It was looking like they were in pretty well summer conditions the whole time.
Yeah.
That whole way across that, that part of the trip. And I guess, it's not like that now.
Hey, have you guys had a look at the weather for the next few, just to see what they're going into?
Oh,
it is treacherous. It's going to be a nightmare. There's no one getting any sleep at all. No. And I don't think they'll be getting too far north. Looks like they're going to get. You could get caught out.
I don't think you want to be too far north.
No,
it accelerates off the land there.
Yeah.
And closer to that area. I mean, we all know what happens in that part of the world.
They do have to go north, though, BP.
Well, yeah, they do. I know that, but I don't know how close you want to be to that South American peninsula. I mean, I reckon it would be horrendous.
I don't know.
Hey, I've got a question for you, fellas.
Righto.
Why do you have ice skates anymore? Is it something that is cool, important, safety?
Well, safety was the reason, right?
Should we take them out? I mean,
they won't take them out, mate.
Are we being too safe? No, they won't. But are they? Is all the race organisers being too safe?
The editions when we didn't have the ice skates, we ended up with boats upside down there and had to send, I think the New Zealanders did a rescue, the Aussies did a rescue. I think there's those days haven't happened for a while. We haven't had to do a rescue down there for a while, so.
Not from hitting an iceberg, though.
No, but just getting into tougher conditions, I guess.
Or is it more hitting icebergs or keeping them closer to land?
I reckon that's more of it. That's more what it is. It's interesting because it's sort of, like if they keep bringing them north, then there's will they bring them right up to the equator? Where's the line that you draw? Do you know what I mean? It's like the argument with...
Maybe it's a straight line to Point Nemo, and then straight to Cape Horn.
Could be something like that.
The shortest distance.
Yeah.
But it has been an incredibly different year, hasn't it? When you look at what they had that whole way across there and then what they've got now, I don't think I'd like to be there right now, to be honest.
I reckon...
Again, like I said, I didn't observe it as much in the last edition, but definitely in the last Volvo Ocean race. And the one before, literally, you were jibing down the ice skate.
Well, that's what they were doing.
I couldn't tell you the amount of jibes, but that was a whole lot more dangerous than letting them go free.
Well, you've got to put... I guess they're putting a line somewhere because, the further south you go, the shorter the distance. So it's just
almost like a mark of the course.
Yeah.
And the earlier you go around the horn, the better, right?
Anyway.
So... it's a good discussion. I'd like to speak to... Maybe we should get one of the race directors on to discuss this specifically.
We might try. I don't know if we can. We haven't talked to anyone, but we should try and get someone on next week to just talk about the weather, the run back up, because it is going to be so difficult, and maybe some of those elements. So we'll see how the week plays out. It's never easy to get people sometimes, specifically like we. We won't, I don't think we can promise we're going to get someone, but I mean, I was thinking we should try and chat to Capey for the weather things, but someone on the ice skates, it could be interesting. The other one we should mention is Damien Seguin. Do you guys? He's the true single-hander.
Damien the Segway. Sorry.
Damien's currently lying fourth. He was in the top three for a while there. He's the only one genuinely doing it as a single-hander.
And it is 100% true. He is single-handed.
Yep.
He is actually a Paralympian and has got an amazing story. He's from Guadeloupe, and many years of watching the sailors come in for various editions of events that were coming there, and held them up on high pedestals as rock stars, and said, "That's me. I'm doing that." And has followed that dream ever since. Went down the French path, obviously being Guadeloupean, and spent a lot of his time focusing on, I guess this is a big moment for him. So, I mean, it's a big moment for every one of them. But, and in particular ended up as a representing, I believe it was France. I mean, I'll have to correct me if I'm wrong. But it was in the Paralympics, he has only one hand cut off at the wrist. I don't know how it happened. So he spent, a couple of Olympics and then decided that it was time to take on the this side of things, and it's an amazing story.
Yeah, doing great. Good on him. We're cheering for it. We're cheering for everyone. Pip's gotten a little bit of trouble going on board, BP.
I feel wholeheartedly for her. Yeah. I mean, I remember when she sailed my little Mini and the autopilot broke and she steered for 3 days. Now she has got the never say die attitude. She will do everything she can to make that work for her. But losing your second wind instrument, I guess, and especially coming into that phase or that part of the world, that's got to be a bit disheartening.
Yeah.
But if anyone can get through, she can.
Cool. All right.
So what's her option here? What's her option here, BP?
So what
get up the top of the rig?
Well, no, but that is the option, obviously, to fix it properly. But she also has she has one she can put up on the stern of the boat, which is the more viable option at the moment. The sea state is obviously not allowing her to go up the rig. So she's in the thick of it. She's in that 35 to 50 knot range. So you don't want to be doing any of that stuff. So she's going to try and get from what we last heard, is she's going to try and put some wind instruments on the back of the boat. Obviously, we know that it's not going to be giving her the same readings, but it can be a bit better because ultimately she's running on compass for her autopilot now, which is not good in any form of sailing when you're trying to get some rest, because the boat's just going to go straight. And, that's not what you want. So you want to be able to make sure you can at least get it onto apparent and true wind angle, so that it can have an idea of where the boat is. Otherwise, she's going to be permanently awake, and that is detrimental, especially with over the next, 7 to 10 days or whatever it is. She's got to get around the Cape, so she's in a tough position.
Oh, tough time.
Of course, there's also Alan Rauer, another mate of mine. He's got problems with his ram, so he's also in slow mode. So he's struggling back there, and they're trying to work out frantically what the problem is with that.
Lots happening, BP. Lots happening.
Lots happening.
Now, speaking of lots happening, BP, our mates at Harkin reached out, sent me a little email, talking about they've just launched a new magazine, an online magazine. Have you seen about this one, BP?
Yeah, I have.
It's called At the Front. So Harkin have got, I guess you just go on their website and subscribe, At the Front. And they just do a whole bunch of feature articles. There's sort of video interviews with people. Standard was pretty low, I thought, for the first edition, BP.
Yeah, considering mine was a second, so it's definitely a raise.
Oh, you were the first one, I thought.
No.
Oh, I got it wrong. Have you seen it, Bossy?
No, that's a negative.
No, listen, it is a.
I've been sent it by about 1,000 people.
Yeah, great.
It's an online magazine and talks about everything that's going on in sailing. They did a bunch of stuff on the Bondi, and then I had a chat with them about my little Far X2 project, which is obviously a Harkin boat, and that was really cool, talking about short-handed sailing and the progression of that. But there is a bit of news around that it's highly possible that the three of us might be getting a word in.
I've got an even better rumour, BP. I've got even more detail.
Oh, okay.
The rumour is that they'll be doing an interview with Nick Bice on Land Rover Defenders and how many places he's broken down and what Harkin equipment they've had to use to pull him out. Because they have industrial equipment.
Yes, so that was word.
What winches are used? Yeah. It's actually, I need a new PTO. That'll be a bloody good thing. That would be Series
good.
1, actually.
That'd look pretty cool, actually.
And then in the third edition, it's called Coaches Were Us by Jordan Spencer.
Yeah.
What used to be.
Yeah, that's right.
But these will only be published once we send a pallet of beer to the dispensing machine in Milwaukee.
Yeah, it's true.
Milwaukee.
So just to give it a bit of a plug, Harkin At the Front is a new initiative from Harkin. It's got some really cool stuff on it. They've got some cool people, not me necessarily, but the rest of them are pretty good.
Yeah, and I'll put a link on the Facebook page for those who want to find it. Boys, I dropped down just a quick one. I dropped some beers down to the Noosa Yacht Club, Yacht and Rowing Club, and sat with the boys and had a few beers with them. Just want to give them a shout out and say good day. That was fun. So they've put them in their beer fridge, and let's see what happens there. So good on them for doing that. And the last thing I've got on my little list, BP, have you seen the America's Cup? We've got their Prada Cup coming up. Now that you're the expert online sailor.
Hello, sailor.
I think they've actually banned me because of my knowledge.
What?
And my expertise. So I can't win I can't win the Sydney Hobart and the America's Cup in 1 year.
Well, it's going to be match racing though, BP. How's your match racing rules and strategies?
Not bad.
Good.
Not bad, but mainly as a trimmer. So, I don't really see what's going on. I just trim sails.
Port, starboard, whatever.
Yeah.
Whatever. Yeah. Okay. Well, for those who are interested, it's another.
Can we do a team? Barkarati team.
Absolutely can.
I'm a bit I don't know.
All right, BP, you're in charge.
No,
You're in BP.
I can tell you the strategy.
You're the e-sailing expert.
I can tell you the strategy.
a long way from it, mate.
Let's set up a team,
Yeah, well,
an international team. Yeah.
All right, I'll have a look.
Let's look into it.
ACE Pride Cup. All right.
But for all our listeners out there, go and look into it yourself. It might be fun.
Mate, you know the rules. Just overcommit and then disappoint.
Underperform.
Oh my God.
Oh dear.
Anything else, lads?
Look, no, I think that it's rolling on here, the same old, same old. We've just got to get rid of this little issue that's going on with the COVID. And then other than that, that's about it.
No worries. All right, let's call it.
Just final preparations here. Well, obviously, the finisher, like I said, the leg 2 of SA Summer Sail, leg 3 coming up at Largs Bay Sailing Club, which will be finished at the end of this weekend. And then in SA, at least, we're rolling into the Premier's Cup early Feb. Then, of course,
the little
the
drum
Blue
roll.
Water Classic.
Wow.
The Teakle.
Right.
Do you?
I've got
getting? Are you getting wines or something from Peter? Is it?
Absolutely.
Oh,
Yep.
you mongrel. We said the Teakle. We've given him enough plugs for free. Oh dear. All right. No worries.
Water Classic.
Well, I could call it the Kempy Classic, but yeah.
Kempy Real Estate.
I don't want to. I've already got too many houses in Lincoln.
Yeah, there you go. All right.
I sincerely hope I can get down there this year.
Yeah, I reckon you got 2 chances.
Yeah.
No, essential services.
Gordon?
Yeah, I'm fine.
Essential services. Essential services.
Yeah.
My mum's dog just died.
The New South Wales people will come and stuff it
No,
up for us.
sorry, Mum. I know she hasn't died. I know Winnie's still alive. It's all right. I'm not using that excuse.
Righto.
Righto.
Right, lads.
Cool.
Cheers.
Cheers, man.
Later.
Everyone.